Israel, one of the most ancient yet technically advanced Israel, one of the most ancient yet technically advanced and smallest nations in the world. Day after day getting more than her share of headlines on the front pages of the newspapers of the world. Yet still waiting, edging ever closer to her predicted destiny at the crossroads of eternity on this day of discovery.
Few nations of the world ignite as much international controversy. Few people groups, whether in or out of their ancestral homeland, have a history as provocative as the Jewish people. Western Wall Plaza, up above the Muslim Dome of the Rock, sitting in the holiest of Jewish sites, all of which amount to the most contested piece of real estate on earth. When you think about it, nobody unites and divides us like the nation of Israel. Israel gave us the protective laws and moral guidance of the Ten Commandments, the comforting words of the 23rd Psalm. And from the Jewish family tree came Jesus, who taught us not only to love one another, but our enemies as well. But Israel also gave us social and political problems that divide us in national elections and family gatherings. Even Jesus, the Jewish son who died acknowledging that he was the long-awaited Jewish Messiah, was known to have told his disciples, "Don't think that I have come to bring peace, but a sword." Yes, Israel does unite and divide us. She tells a timeless story about nations and about ourselves. And that's one reason Israel can't be ignored, because she gives us a history, a story, and a future that was all foretold by Jewish prophets.
Behold, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that causes reeling to all the peoples around. It will come about in that day that I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who lift it will be severely injured, and all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. Zechariah chapter 12.
According to the Bible, Israel would not only be a source of conflict, but a means by which God would reveal himself to the world. A promise that was first made to Abraham.
I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Genesis chapter 12.
People from all over the world come to Israel. Whether loved or hated, Israel is a magnet. She attracts immigrants and journalists and heads of state, along with millions of Jewish, Muslim, and Christian people, all pulled to this land by their faith and by the faith of their fathers. I met with Roni, one of our Jewish guides, in a more modern section of Jerusalem on Ben Yehuda Street. We met to talk about who these people are that are so drawn to this land. Ronnie, Ben Yehuda has a whole different feel than the old city. Why is that?
But first of all, because we are not anymore within the city walls. We are in the modern city of Jerusalem, even though this neighborhood is 120 years old.
120?
Yes, this is the third neighborhood of Jerusalem built outside the city walls.
How far are we from the old city?
We're about a 15, 20 minutes walk.
So
easy walk.
You can walk it then?
To the old city, yes.
All right. How do you explain the attraction? Why do people come here?
Well, I think that the only name Jerusalem says it all. And you do not come to Jerusalem, you do not visit Jerusalem like you would visit London or Paris or Roma. Something will happen to you on several different levels, but something will happen to you.
So tell me about the Jewish heart and the yearning, the longing. Just
the longing for Jerusalem, next in Jerusalem, repeating Jerusalem. And I tell my people, my group, that you can take a Jew out of Jerusalem, but you cannot take Jerusalem out of a Jew. And every single Jew, wherever he lives in the world, whatever time it was, will have Jerusalem in the very center of his heart. The prayers, everything he will do will be Jerusalem. And suddenly you come here, after 2,000 years, you come back to the city where we were kicked out some 2,000 years ago. And you don't have to be a super believer to feel this. Something catches you in the city.
So you're saying even non-religious Jewish people feel that?
You do not leave the city indifferent. You are not the same person before and after.
While in exile in the kingdom of Babylon, an ancient Hebrew wrote a song about the longing of his heart for Jerusalem.
If I forget you, O Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its skill. May my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you, if I do not consider Jerusalem my highest joy. Psalm 137.
Jerusalem has often been called the Eternal City, a spiritual epicenter, a land of interest to those who are seeking help from beyond themselves. Israel, a land of hills and valleys, known for the famous Lake of Galilee. She has desert regions that stretch along the Jordan River to the lowest point on earth, the Dead Sea. She has date palms, olive trees, sheep, goats, and donkeys that still wander the region. And they're not alone, for the regathered people of this land continue to tell her story. Think of the land of Israel as a great stage, a platform on which the greatest story of history is playing out. Now, the platform itself is about 300 miles long and about 70 miles wide. And on this stage, the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, are actually the cast, the players. The script? Well, we're here at the Israel Museum, and one of the most important parts of that script is housed here. It's a part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And in 1947, just at the time that the nation of Israel was emerging and becoming a nation after almost 2,000 years of being scattered without their own national sovereignty, that the Dead Sea Scrolls were found on the western rim of the Dead Sea. Thousands of fragments of scrolls. Interestingly, the Isaiah scroll describes the Messiah of Israel coming to center stage in this land, bringing salvation.
The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. Isaiah chapter 61.
The Dead Sea Scrolls are an amazingly preserved treasure, a treasure made up of a script that we call Scripture. These scrolls are accurate copies, practically identical to the Bible's Old Testament. And together, they describe that unfolding drama played out for the good of all nations on the stage we call Israel. Why is the nation of Israel located where it is? Why in the world would a chosen people be placed on a sliver of land at the eastern end of the Mediterranean Sea? These are important questions for a land that the Bible calls the Promised Land, positioned strategically at the crossroads of an ancient world. One of the things we've been talking about is that Israel has a story, but she not only has a story, she has a strategic position from which to communicate it to the region. In fact, before the Hebrews ever came into this land, the superpowers of this part of the world were vying for control of the very land that the God of the Bible promised to his people. One of the things we've been talking about is that Israel has a story, but she not only has a story, she has a strategic position from which to communicate it to the region. In fact, before the Hebrews ever came into this land,
right? Absolutely.
The superpowers, who was struggling for it?
Whoever the big superpower we had in the area.
Like who?
From the Egyptians, some 5,000 years ago, through the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persian, the Greek, the Romans, whoever, all the way to Napoleon in the 19th century, and Allenby in the 19th century, First World War.
And they fought over this land.
Over this land, over this specific area.
And why?
Why? Because the strategic location of this very place where we're standing.
And what made it so strategic?
If you look at the map, Israel was sitting on what the Roman would call the Via Maris, a super ancient highway.
The way of the sea, right?
Yes, the Via Maris, the way of the sea, or the road of the sea, connecting Asia in the north to Africa in the south, Egypt to Mesopotamia.
Okay.
And these were the main trading route back in these days, when we're talking the time when there were no trains and no planes, no boat. People were crossing the lands to go from one place to another to trade. But this road would also be used to invade and to destroy.
Okay, so for military purposes, for commercial purposes?
Exactly.
Okay.
And Israel of today is sitting in the very middle of this Via Maris. And the place where we are today is in the very middle of Israel. So double reason.
Okay, so from a biblical, a Bible's point of view, if God takes his people and he places them in this land, it puts them in a position to have influence and to get the word out.
Absolutely.
To 3 continents.
Absolutely. We've got Africa, we've got Asia, and later Europe.
Okay. Now tell us about where we're standing right here.
So we're standing right by the gate of the ancient city of Megiddo. These city gates are related to King Solomon. We are going back some 3,000 years ago, and 3 cities. And again, to understand the strategy of this country, 3 cities King Solomon will fortify. One is Megiddo, at the very entrance of the Jerusalem Valley.
Again, because of its strategic value.
Because of the strategic value, there's no holy place here, nothing holy here. One will be in Gezer in the south, the entrance from the south to Jerusalem, overlooking Tel Gezer.
Is that G-E-Z-E-R?
Yes, absolutely. And this will be the breadbasket of Jerusalem.
Okay.
Megiddo will be the breadbasket of this area also. And further north, Tel Hatzor.
Okay.
A bit further north, which will be the entrance to Israel from the north.
Okay.
So 3 very strategic points
within the strategic nature of the whole land bridge between these 3 continents.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks. So when you think of a chosen people and a promised land, it's important to remember that the land of Israel was positioned at a strategic land bridge between three continents, between Africa, Asia, and Europe. In many ways, this was the crossroads of the ancient world. So there was a reason for Israel's strategic position at the crossroads of the ancient world. Because God had revealed to Israel how people of all nations could know him, Israel was to be a light to the nations at the crossroads of eternity.
Pay attention to me, O my people, and give ear to me, O my nation.
Israel's strategic
For a law will go
position
forth
at the
from me,
crossroads of
and
the
I will
ancient
set
world.
my justice